Just a couple houses from mine lies a small, run-down building right next to the main road, but surrounded by hedges, so you have to be on the walkways to actually see it. Even with its central placement between a major store, the road and houses in a more populated area of my town, it has a very different feel from everything around it. It's small, but has its own garden and a parking spot where there is always a red Volvo that looks just as old as the house itself. I always walk my dog past this house, but I never get used to the unsettling feeling that something is horribly off about it. The curtains are always drawn shut, and the only things I've ever seen inside were a couple of bottles of shampoo placed in the windowsill in what I assume is the bathroom. One of those narrow, high-up windows that keep people from seeing in. It was on one of these walks that I really began to notice something was genuinely weird. My dog is a golden retriever, but he's not very well trained, so even though he mostly follows orders, he does what he wants. This time, he suddenly ran into the garden of this house and started digging frantically behind it, close to the hedge. I ran after the rascal immediately. I wouldn't want whoever lived there to yell at me. I grabbed his leash and tried forcefully dragging him away. He put up a fight, but I eventually managed to drag him from the little hole he'd dug. Strangely, the dirt had a weird color, almost reddish. That's when I saw fabric under the ground. It looked like a piece of shirt. I contemplated this disturbing discovery, but wasn't risking anyone finding out, so I covered the hole and left hurriedly with my dog. Even if the cloth didn't mean there was a body, I knew as soon as the smell hit me. Something under there had been alive, but wasn't anymore. The smell of rotting flesh and blood is unmistakable, even mixed with dirt. I still walk that path, but remain cautious. The house is between my home and the beach, so one summer afternoon I walked home from volleyball and swimming. I passed the house and noticed something different about the Volvo. I'd never seen anyone on that property except myself and my dog, so I was surprised to see the headlights on and engine humming steadily. But there was absolutely no one inside the car. I checked every seat thoroughly. Completely weirded out, I began speed walking away. I didn't hear anyone walking to the car, no sound except the engine. Yet as soon as I rounded the corner, the car suddenly sped off. There's no driveway from the house to the road. You'd have to do a full U-turn on the narrow walkway, a difficult, precise ordeal. Yet this car sped off effortlessly. I glimpsed the back in its quick, too precise drive onto the main road. All I noticed was paint peeled off in multiple places. I never saw who was driving. Fast forward to late autumn. I'd walked past that Volvo countless times, always parked in its spot. I never saw it move again. But this particular day, I heard something from inside the house. Someone showering. Proof someone lived there after all. As soon as I stopped, caught off guard, the shower immediately turned off, as if responding to my reaction. Then there was a deliberate tap on the window, the high, narrow bathroom one. I fixed my gaze on it and saw something, not someone, something entirely inhuman. Although you could mistake the contours for human, it lacked key features like eyes and mouth. It only had nostrils and slight depressions in grayish skin where eye sockets should be. It was incredibly tall, not straining to look out the high window. You'd need to be at least 8 feet tall, maybe more. The worst part wasn't the unmoving face, it was the hand. Unnaturally long, skinny fingers making a slow waving motion as if saying hello, almost welcoming, as if wanting me to enter its decrepit home. I ran as fast as possible, looking back once to see it gone from the high window. The curtains of the window now facing me had been drawn away, revealing the thing's entire horrifying body. The skin was like a worm's, wrinkly, loose, and glistening. Its body was plump, but unlike any human. Its neck was far too long. Its large, skinny hand had a finger over its non-existent mouth in a hushing gesture. And the last thing I noticed, the soil behind the house was moving, churning slowly. I turned the corner and decided never to walk past at late hours again. I've had frequent nightmares about this creature, always making that same gesture. It wanted me quiet about something, so I stayed quiet for a long while. I told no one until now. But people should know. What if the buried person became another one of those things? Or what if it's taken another victim? Alive. Whatever that thing was, I believe it's something truly horrible. I'm staying away from that old house. Be aware of houses that are too small, too old, that give strange feelings and feel wrong without telling you why. Things live amongst us in plain sight, and you don't want to be the next to lie dead under their cold, dark soil. Story 2. From a rural area in central Alabama, about 30 minutes from the capital city of Montgomery, in a small town known as Pine Level. This story took place in either the summer of 2002 or 2003. I can't quite remember if it was my cousin, who we'll call Jake, or myself, who had turned 13 that year, but these events are definitely narrowed down to one of those years. I lived with my parents and a younger brother, while Jake lived with his dad, his stepmom, his brother, who we'll call John, and his older stepbrother, who we'll call Ryan. Our two families lived in separate houses located on my grandparents' farm, which was a 16-acre area surrounded by many acres of cow pastures belonging to someone else. During the summer in question, I had my friend, who we can call Edward, staying the night at my house, which was completely normal during the summer months. I don't recall all the details, but I'm sure we spent the evening doing our regular stuff, watching Dragon Ball Z or Lord of the Rings, and eating way too much junk food like we always did. That night, we were playing in my backyard, which stretched out to one of the shoulder-high fences that separated our yard from the neighboring cow pasture. Our security light lit up the backyard and barely reached past the fence into the cow field. We were playing near the fence by a big tree that practically touched the fence, enjoying the warm summer night. All of a sudden, we heard a commotion coming from the cow field. We both looked to see cows that were less than 10 yards away from us in an obvious state of panic. They were mooing loudly and scattering in all directions. I'd like to add that we were previously not even aware of these cows being there because they were so still and quiet that they had become just part of the background. But when they got stirred up, it immediately commanded our full attention. Why were they so panicked? It was not a common thing to see cows spooked by anything around here. The answer came almost as soon as we saw the cows scattering. In the middle of this cluster of bolting cattle was a figure in the dim light. The figure appeared white, or at least very light in color, and was about 4 to 4.5 feet tall, the size of a child. The shape of its head made me believe at the time that it could have been hooded, and it appeared to be skipping. Not walking, not running, skipping like a carefree child in a circular pattern in the middle of the terrified cows that couldn't scatter quickly enough. The cows weren't the only ones who ran. Edward and I bolted to my back porch, rushed inside my house, and locked the door firmly behind us. Our hearts were pounding hard. I don't remember the conversation we had in detail, but after we calmed down, we confirmed we had witnessed the exact same thing. I'll add here that there were no kids around that size who could have been playing a prank. This was a pretty secluded area, and there's nobody around that would have dressed in white and silently appeared next to the cows, risking being trampled, all for a chance to spook us. Not to mention the way the thing was skipping. It just didn't look right. There was a certain carelessness and grace to the movements that I can't imagine someone faking. It just showed up as if it wanted to be seen by us, without actually acknowledging our presence. If the story ended there, I probably wouldn't be sharing it. But there's more. I mentioned my cousins, Jake and John, earlier. At some point after Edward and I saw the pale figure, I went to tell my younger cousin John about it. John was an honest kid, even when it didn't benefit him to be. As I'm telling him the story, He suddenly interrupts me and begins describing something remarkably similar that had just happened to him. He tells me that during Jake's recent birthday party, he, Jake, and a handful of Jake's friends were playing in my backyard on our trampoline. My family was out for dinner at the time, and my cousins knew they were always welcome to use our backyard. Before sunset, when everything was still visible but daylight was starting to fade, one of the boys pointed out into the cow pasture and asked, "What's that?" The boys all looked, and according to John, over 50 yards into the field, maybe closer to 100 yards, something moved from behind one cow and ran quickly to another. It would be hiding behind a cow and then suddenly dart to another cow to hide itself once again. The boys, trying to make sense of this, assumed it was my cousin's stepbrother Ryan playing a prank on them. At the time, they didn't grasp how improbable it would be for him to hide behind a cow without startling it and run to hide behind another, all for a prank. Their minds just tried to rationalize what was happening, until this figure bolted from one cow to another many yards away, running at a speed that no human person should be able to run. The movement was impossibly fast. Those boys were so frightened that they ran back to my uncle's house, crying and pleading desperately for him to let them inside. These were tough football-playing boys, not wimpy kids that would risk crying and looking cowardly over nothing. Whatever they saw truly terrified them. For years I thought what John, Jake, and Jake's friends witnessed matched the exact same description of what Edward and I saw. However, recently I was corrected. John told me not long ago that what they saw was dark in color, whereas what Edward and I saw was light-colored, if not white. I'm not sure if the distance made it appear different, or if they saw something else altogether. But both encounters happened within 2 weeks, possibly days apart, in the same cow field visible from my backyard. Having 2 encounters by 2 sets of people removes any doubts about my young imagination running wild. Hearing a similar account from someone who hadn't heard my details solidified everything as undeniable fact. We moved away years later. I occasionally drive past that old cow pasture and always look out, wondering if I might glimpse some hooded childlike figure skipping whimsically just beyond my headlight beams.